All right, we are live. We are recording Rocky Mountain Division. I am very excited for our 10K Alliance meeting today to kick off SC2 push. Now, SC2 doesn't start until next week, right? SC2 doesn't start until next Monday, the 20th, but we're talking about it right now. We're preparing with this 2-hour meeting that is going to absolutely blow your mind. And the key is preparation. We need a full week of preparation so we can pull back the slingshot and launch into the biggest and best, most financially rewarding, personally rewarding, and professionally rewarding 2 weeks of your entire Cutco career. I personally am so excited for this group because to me, this is the future of Rocky Mountain Division. This is the future of the Southwest region and vector marketing. We see during SC2 new superstars emerge. And this is where brand new reps who just got out of their fast start or maybe just launched from training make a name for themselves. This is where our veterans come back and prove why they have so much talent and why people look up to them and revere them as Cutco gods. And you're going to be hearing from so many of those today, starting with McColl and then with the Chaves duo, Mr. Alex Chaves and Annalis Chaves. And then again, some powerhouse messages from our division. But I am so excited for this meeting again because of what this is going to do for each of you and what this is going to do for the future of Rocky Mountain Division. I first want to chat about, and let me share my screen here. I prepped my slides all right for this one, or Patty, I should say, prep my slides perfectly for this one. Let's see where. All right, let's move myself. So again, here's our agenda for today. We have push preparation with McColl Simons. You're going to be hearing from him. He's a district manager, and his push starts tomorrow. He's going after a $40,000 push personally. He's just an absolute machine, somebody that I look up to and respect a ton in our business. Again, the Chaves duo, Mr. Alex Mazurek, creating our top 50 list for push. We have Lium from Albuquerque teaching us how to be better at our virtual phone jams, and then Kevin Barthe launching us into Momentum Week. And I want to talk just for a minute about why we push. And we push for a couple of reasons. And for me, number one is it's just an excuse to work harder. You know, a push week is 2 weeks, starts on Monday the 20th and goes up until our conference on August 5th, on Wednesday, August 5th. And for me, it's an excuse to work harder. And whatever competition is for you, and sometimes it's competing against your friends, sometimes it's competing against, you know, the standings and the records, sometimes it's just competing against yourself. And that's it, that inner competition to say, I know that I can do something for 2 weeks, work my tail off and feel good about it. And I know you're going to hear from some of the speakers about just that personal reward and satisfaction and that sense of accomplishment. Even if nobody knew that you were going for it, what does it mean to you to compete for Push Week? You know, I think about, you know, the hyper learning and the hyper growth of being able to master the virtual demo, master referrals, master closing skills. That way you have a guaranteed job, guaranteed income support, whether you're going away to school or not. The next couple months or the next couple years could be guaranteed income where you can be financially secure, just knowing that whenever you put the time and energy and effort into this job, that you can make a list, you can make some phone calls, you can book appointments, and you can pay your bills. And that's the power of this job. And that's what Push Week does. It allows you to learn the skills to master the fundamentals of this job. So whether you're a student or a non-student, whether this is short-term or long-term, you can make this a game-changing, life-changing opportunity financially, personally, and professionally. So that's why we push to learn our skills. Think about increasing the number of referrals you got per demo by 2 every appointment that you did from that point forward, just because you learned the skills, you put so much time and effort into doing better at this job. You know, from that point forward, let's say you did an average of 5 appointments a week, that's 10 new contacts a week that you're generating for your business. So even on a small scale, what you learn during push is going to set you up for future success, however long you're in Cutco. You know, I think about the income opportunity, and you're going to be hearing this today. Annalis Chaves, you know, she earned $11,000 during SC1 push. She's on college break. She's on summer break, you know, from school. She's a music major in college, and she's selling knives so she can, you know, or nursing major and music, but she's selling knives to promote those 2 things. So I think about the income. What is this going to do for you? Been seeing posts all over Vector about people investing in their Roth IRA for the first time. I saw somebody just put a transfer in for $6,000 for her Roth IRA, and it was, the greatest achievement that she's had financially. And think about what you can do in 2 weeks to earn, your first comma paycheck potentially, or with a 2 or 3 or 5, who knows how big that can be. Earn more in 2 weeks than your friends do in 2 months. Or maybe in 2 years. What you do now could set you on a path towards financial success and security for the rest of your college career, for those of you who are in school, and many, many years after. And that doesn't mean that you have to be in Cutco to do it, but things that you learn, the capacity that you gain, the personal, professional skills, and the person you become during this push will give you the trajectory to be successful and bring that future success closer to you and forward in Cutco and outside of Cutco. Everything you want in your life is possible. Anything you want in this job is possible, and Push Week will help you get those things quicker and bigger. I think about the advancement opportunities, and I think about what the future can bring, and depending on, it doesn't matter what your long-term view is with Cutco. You keep the doors open. Kevin Barthe always says, just keep showing up. And if you keep showing up, good things happen. You put yourself in a position of choice, and you give yourself the option to do whatever you want with Cutco moving down the line. If you're away at school, the ability to work part-time and make full-time income, the ability to continue as potential assistant manager and develop your skills professionally while you're away at school. And for those of you who are local, the ability to hyper advance your career. We see it with somebody like Garrett Shryock starting, Cutco out of high school and going district manager very quickly in his career. And that's just the path he chose. And I love that Cutco allows you to choose how quickly you want to grow. And again, that's, to support your life and your dreams and your goals outside of Cutco and your major and your future career, but also as quickly as you want success here, as quickly as you want to make a name for yourself, go after it here. And that's what Push Week is about, making it possible. So I think about what the future looks like. Do you want to become that future branch manager, to be able to run your own office? The virtual program makes the branch manager opportunity and the district manager opportunity more flexible, more rewarding, more profitable, and more potential than it's ever had before. So I think about the ability to run your own office as a branch or a district manager, to just pursue your life and professional goals at a quicker pace. Our CSP and FSM program, as soon as you hit $20,000 in sales, you have the opportunity, you have the invitation to apply for our mentor program, and you could get coached, one-on-one coaching by a Hall of Fame FSM CSP in Rocky Mountain Division. And once you're at $20,000 in sales, you have the ability to apply for that program. So I think about advancement. I think about what Push could do for you. Again, you're going to be hearing from speakers, and McColl is going to tell you, about how Push has changed his career, and he's made a name for himself. I mean, we know his name from when he was 17, 18, 19 years old, putting up big Push Weeks down in Alabama, out of Brian Stevenson's division, before he even ran his first office. And he wasn't even in our division. So think about the name that you can make for yourself here. And I think about trophies and prizes. I think about what you can win during Push. And the district managers, they put together some prize levels for our Push. And I'm going to give you a little bit of an insight into it, just a quick little insight into the prizes. Do you guys want to hear you guys want like a sneak peek at the prizes for SC2 for our division? There are divisional prizes, we have regional prizes. I don't even have a slide for it yet, because we just determined this this past week at our with a couple of your district managers. We'll have a slide for Thursday's division meeting. By the way, the Thursday division meeting is going to blow your freaking mind. We have this meeting is stacked for 10K and 20K big thinking. The division meeting on Thursday is going to give you equal skill set and value in preparation for your push. Adam Hayes Lemon is going to be teaching his recommendations approach that has been blowing everybody's mind, and his office is averaging more than anybody else in our division, like 2 or 3 times the average. So here are the prizes though, and we'll have a slide and a promo for it in the next few days. But for our division, if you sell $3,000 for SC2 push, by the way, I get that this is a 10K call, so this should be an automatic win no matter what is the first milestone. But 3K, you get your choice of a Yeti. I don't even know what type of Yeti, but you get your choice of a Yeti cooler, an Echo Dot, or a selfie ring light, so that way you can look good for your demos for your customers. Okay, you got a Yeti, an Echo Dot, or a selfie ring light. For $6,000 in sales, 6K for push, you made a minimum of $1,000 in income, probably a lot more than that based on what you guys are all at in your percentages right now, but you get either a Bluetooth speaker, I don't know what type, they're all based on in price, like money levels, and they're all worth valuable amounts of cash money. Okay, you get a Bluetooth speaker, I'm doing a great job of this, right? Get excited anyway. Your Bluetooth speaker, a Kindle Paperwhite, I'm not sure what that is, but the kids say it's cool, and or a Fall Raven backpack. I think it's spelled wrong on here, but is that what it's called, a Fall Raven? You get some cool gear at $6,000 in sales. Basically, you get to choose really cool stuff and it upgrades the more you sell. How about that? These prices are ridiculous. At $10,000, you get the limo night on the town, $200 night out, either with your manager, with your significant other, or with your friends. You get to choose. Chase Englehart and Fletcher Hartsky did their 10K payout with Bree and Adam the other night at the Melting Pot and had a really fancy upscale expensive dinner and fun night on the town. So you get to choose either with your manager, with your counterparts, with your significant other, or with your friends. But you get a $200 night out, or if you don't want that and you're like, I don't want dinner, I don't want fancy nights out, you can get a GoPro Hero 7, the Beats Solo, or the Beats Solo 3 headphones. I don't know what either of those things are, but they slap, I've heard. All right, there are additional prizes at $15,000, $20,000 and above. There are also, we have divisional prizes and region prizes. So some of the 15K level prizes include an Apple Watch, a 50-inch TV, and customized Nike shoes. $20,000 in sales. How about a drone? That's one of the prizes that we're going to make available for $20,000 in sales. A drone, a Nintendo Switch, or a $300 travel voucher once this all goes away and you can do whatever you want with your life again. This is going to be, again, some fun prizes. We'll put the promo together. I just want you to get fired up about what is to come, because we have a lot of incentive, a lot of motivation to go after big levels. All right, the region prize levels, I'm going to show you guys these on Thursday at the division meeting, but there are even prizes and records for breaking the region record and breaking the Southwest region push, which it looks like $66,000 in sales. Maybe somebody from Rocky Mountain can think big and go after a big result like that. Well, not ready for you yet, McColl. All right, so I want to go back to how to push. We talked about why to push, and those are the things that come to mind for me. How to push, and you're going to be hearing these from the speakers on the agenda today. They're going to be talking about picking a goal. They're going to be talking about committing to the process. And McColl and Alex and Annalis and Allie and everyone who's talking today, they're going to be telling you that no matter what, the most important thing is working your tail off for 16 days straight. Don't focus on the result, focus on the activity. If you commit to the process, that's where you get the growth. That's where you get the learning. That's where you get the reward. That's where you get the sense of accomplishment. It's knowing that you did everything in your power to hit your goal. It's not the result. It's the journey, not the destination. That whatever cliche you want to insert in this moment right now, you can go ahead and insert it. And what I want to tell you is that the preparation is going to be key. Finding support from your family, support from your friends, support from your manager, and then the preparation with your names list, your schedule, and getting your momentum right. And that's what this meeting is about today. I want to share a quick analogy, and I'm going to be introducing my good friend McColl Simons, who also is my basketball teammate. We play on a 3-on-3 professional league together. And we just, we don't do it right now during the summer. It's our busy season, so we're taking a little bit of a break. But anyway, I'm going to introduce McColl in just a minute. But the last thing I want to leave you with, when you think about a meeting like this, and I look at this meeting, I look at this group as our future superstars. I remember seeing, Adam Hayes Lemon when he was in one of these meetings for the first time. I remember seeing Charlie Boyd at his, at his first Alliance meeting, and I just see face and I see all of yours, and I just love watching development and progress. And we are 2 weeks away, about 3 weeks away from our conference, and 3 weeks away from me looking at so many people on here in a way different light. And I want you to think about what the next 3 weeks can mean for you, what the next 3 weeks can mean for your trajectory. And I want you to think of this concept. And it's a weird analogy at first, but I want you to think about putting the cream in first. And I'm going to expand on this a little bit more on Thursday, but I want you guys to think about this. And I was making my cup of coffee this morning, as I typically do. And I realized this about a year ago. I started realizing I was noticing how other people make their coffee. And when I make my coffee in the morning, I like cream in it, right? Does anybody like cream in their coffee? Anybody use cream in their coffee? So if you watch people make their coffee, you'll watch 99% of human beings, they'll pour their coffee and then they'll pour their cream and then they'll get either a spoon or a stick or something and they'll stir it. Anybody do that? Familiar? Okay. So I've done this for my whole life, which is I don't worry about the spoon. I don't worry about the stick because I put the cream in first. And every time I've ever made coffee in my entire life, whether it's a little thing that I have to open up the little creamer and put it in, or I open it out of the fridge, I put the cream in the cup first. So that way, when I pour the coffee, it's evenly distributed. So every part of coffee, everything that I put in the cup has the equal parts of cream. That way it's a perfect pour. Also, I don't have to waste time, energy, or resources or tools to have to use a spoon or a stir afterwards. So I was thinking about this recently, and I wondered, in what areas of our life can we put the cream in first and save time, save steps, taking 3 steps and turning them into 2, taking, a long process and turning it into a more focused, detailed plan. And what I want you to think about in this meeting, when you hear from McColl in a few minutes, and when you hear from our speakers, what are the things that they're doing? What are the things that you can do this week to set up for your push the right way, to put the cream in first? That way you take out all of the additional steps during push and it's just execution. So what are you going to do this week to put the cream in first? And with that, I want to introduce a good friend of mine, Mr. McColl Simons. And I've got too many of his stats written down in my planner here. And then I've got to go to my participants and highlight his, I got to stop share for a second. I'll get better at the tech stuff. Let me highlight your screen as I. All right, you're unmuted and highlighted. I've got your. I've got to share your picture here for a second though, because it's just. Because you and Natalie just look so damn cute. All right, so this is my good friend McColl Simons, and McColl is a district manager, lives in Birmingham, Alabama. He's just got an unbelievable resume. He's one of the most impressive people that I know. Is McColl still spotlighted on this?
I think so.
Good spot. Okay, cool. One of the most impressive people I know, not just in Cutco, but just as a person. He's unbelievably professional, respectful, polite. He's one of the most badass people you'll meet in this company, but he's one of the most kind, individuals you'll meet. He never says a bad word about anybody, and he's just always willing to go the extra mile to help people out, always willing to give advice. He's talking on like 15 different conference calls this week around the region. He's also running an office. He's also, going after a big push himself, and he's got, a personal life to take care of on the back end. But McColl started in May of 2015. He is out of the Birmingham area for Cutco, went to University of Alabama at Birmingham. He's at $180,000 in sales. He did 17K in his fast start, $62,000 in his first summer, hitting 10K for both SC1 and SC2. His second summer, he also sold $62,000. He did 20K for SC1, 24K for SC2. He was the pilot manager for Brian Stevenson for 2 years, I think, McColl. 2 years, where he was one of the top team builders in the nation, which means he brought more of his personal friends, as well as he was one of the top assistant manager team builders. So not only his personal group of friends, but also as a recruiter, he was top in the company, one of the top in the nation in both those categories as a pilot manager, one of the most respected, up and coming superstars in Vector, not just for his management skills, but also his sales leadership. There's just not enough, or there's not enough time to say all the good things about McColl. He's engaged to his better half, Natalie, and he's also an unbelievable basketball player, and he is the reason why my team didn't get knocked out in the first round. So with that, I want to give it up for our speaker on going after a massive push, Mr. McColl Simons.
All right. Thank you. That was awesome. I've been introed by Brian for too long. His intros are getting stale on me, so that one felt good. Thank you, Drew. I appreciate that. I'm really excited to be here with you guys. You guys have some amazing leaders. While we wait for Drew to figure out how to get off of his screen, I see the mouse moving around. There you go. You guys have some awesome leaders out here, and Natalie's actually in Denver right now. She just flew in. She's spending some time in Colorado while I work super hard, but I'm really excited to be here. And the first thing that I want to start by talking about is that push is, for me, it's not really about the sales. It's about the person who I'm going to become. And I'm sure you guys are familiar. Let's see if this works. Drew, can you enable my screen sharing really quick? You just click the little armor button. There's like looks like a shield, and you click enable screen share. If you can't get it. Okay, we got it. Yes, perfect. I'm sure this looks familiar to most of you guys. And this is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And basically what it talks about is that when you start at the bottom, these are like, if you don't have these needs met, you can't jump up. So you have to have your psychological needs met first. Once those are met, then you can move to safety. Once safety is met, then love and belonging, then esteem, then self-actualization. And what I was thinking about in preparing for push was the fact that if my goal is just to get recognized or have status or like have money, then like this is my triangle. Does that make sense? Where it's like I'm missing all of this stuff over here. So the reason that I share this with you is because my goal for push is to be the best person that I can be. And it's a little bit more specific, and I have specific examples of that, but that's really what this is all about for me. Because if I'm just doing it for the money, which I have done before, I tried to sell 30K during SC2 in 2016, and I fell short because I just, I didn't have the extra stuff in the triangle. So this push has been really different for me in the way that I've prepared, because it's not about the money. It's not about the sales. It's about the person that I can become. So without hitting my sales goal, by the way, I can still have all of that. I can still have that entire triangle, even if I don't hit my sales goal, because I can be the best version of myself regardless of the result. So that's not really what's driving me. And without the right actions, I cannot hit my goal. If I don't put in the right actions, then I cannot be the best version of myself. So what I'm really doing is I'm associating my emotions to my actions and not my results. So a brief example of that was last night at 7:58. I was like, all right, I booked 30 demos today. I committed to calling till 8, but I think I'm good. There's 2 minutes left. But what I realized is that it's not about the result. And even though I feel like I've done enough, that's me basing off of results. I want to base myself and my emotions on my actions. So I say, you know what, I'm not going to be satisfied until I finish strong, finish through. I made my last 3 or 4 calls. Nobody answered, but I felt really good. To me, that's what momentum is in push. Momentum is all up here. Momentum is not sales or the numbers of demos that you booked. It's your willingness to continue preparing and continue making calls. That's what momentum is to me. So, if I have a few days where I, don't sell a lot, I started my SC1 push in 2016. My first 3 days, I had 5 demos each day. I woke up at 5 o'clock each morning, and I worked out, and I sold $200 on 15 demos. And that was really difficult. So I'm learning to, no matter what, follow through. But everything that I do to prepare is not about selling $40,000. It's about, the person that I become and being the best version of myself. So there are 3 kind of like steps that I've been using to prepare. The 3 are preparing my why, preparing my leads, and my schedule. So let me go into a little bit more detail for you guys on that. No, so starting with why, this is really important. If you've ever read the book by, I think it's like Simon Sinek, Start with Why, really important book, because it shows that everything you do, is filtered through your purpose and your vision. And your why has to come from your heart, from your mind. My goal for 30K, when I missed it, it was very much in my mind. It was like, ooh, it would be really cool to hit 30K. I would feel really good about myself. I'd have all this money. So I didn't have the strong enough work ethic and willingness, didn't have a strong enough why to finish strong. I kind of quit with like 4 days to go, to be completely honest with you guys. So ways that you can find a why, because I feel really clear on my why and my vision for push. Meditation, journaling, prayer. The most important thing is that you have intentional time set aside to just sit with yourself or sit with the manager, talk to somebody about it, about what your why is. What is your purpose? What are you going after? It's not just about the money. Like, the coolest part is that I won like a huge TV when I sold 24K. The coolest part is that I forgot. That TV was so much better because I got it and I forgot about it than if I had been trying to win that TV the entire time. So the prizes that you guys are doing are really, really cool. And what if you forgot about them and you got them anyway? But your why has to be authentic, and you can't trick yourself. So I want to share with you guys my goal thermometer. I have all of my my prizes in, all of my papers in these little sleeves because I'm going to be using them a lot. This is what my thermometer looks like right now. So I've got 100 demos on this side. I've got 40K on this side, and I split it up and I have my little breakdown so I know what to get to. And then on the side are all of my goals. They're all part of my why. What I did is I journaled, I prayed, I had some coaching calls, and the things that were really important to me, that's what I wrote on this paper. This isn't just to like show Miss Jones and have her be like, oh, wow, he's trying to win a scholarship right now, right? That was my goal for a while, and it was genuine. I won the scholarship a couple of times. Right now, I just graduated from college, so I'm not a student anymore. I'm not going to share with Miss Jones that I'm going for a scholarship because that's not authentic to me. Most important is being authentic to me. So some of my goals are breaking the SC2 record. In our division, the SC2 record is 38,000. It was set by Brian's wife, Elizabeth. So I'm trying to break that record. That's exciting for me. I'm trying to save for a wedding. That's a big one. I want to express more gratitude. I want to influence the region. I want to trust God more. I want to have a lot of fun, eat right and work out, redeem myself from SC2 2016 when I didn't finish strong, leave a legacy, remember what is important, and leave people better than I found them. And as you can tell, this is definitely authentic to me. And it's even my handwriting, which is why it, doesn't look super beautiful, but I had fun with it anyway. And I got out all of Natalie's colorful Sharpies. And this goal thermometer means a lot to me. So logistically, just so you know, the way that I'm going to use this is I'm going to fill it in myself, and I'm going to text a picture of it to the customer before I start each demo, because that's also like really authentic to me. I feel like if the customer gets like a handwritten goal thermometer, like a picture of a text of a picture, I feel like that's like, I don't know, to me, that's really authentic compared to having it all digitally prepared. And I think if you do that, that could be really helpful because you can put pictures on there. And those are my thoughts on that. So being really clear about your why, these are the things that are driving me this push. And they've really helped me in those moments where like the story I told you where I had 2 minutes left and I really wanted to be done with calls. I just remembered that one of my things on here is to influence the region. How am I going to influence the region if I know in the back of my mind that I gave up with 2 minutes left in my phone jam and I didn't finish strong and I didn't give my best through the very end? I could go on a whole little rant about how push is not about sales. It's not about even the demos. It's about those little moments, those tiny little moments of decision to say yes when the comfort inside of you wants to say no. When the comfort wants to tell you, oh, you've done enough, or, oh, you can take a nap now, or like that's what push is about to me. I won't go on any longer of a rant on that. But the second thing is preparing my leads. And Maz is going to talk about this in a little bit, and you guys are going to get some awesome stuff from Maz. And what I want to show you is that I organize them all on paper. And I don't know exactly how you guys are planning on doing it. I'm just going to show you exactly what I've done. Here's my leads list. 100, 200, 300, 400. I know that to sell 10K, I need to have at least 100 names prepared at the very least. And so to sell 40, I got to have 400, but I kept going. 500, 564. So that's how many I have prepared right now. And I spent a lot of time on building up this list. So my call day, so I'm a week ahead of you guys. So I did my call day yesterday. And what I did was I had all of my leads prepared, and I only used my first 200. I made 120 calls yesterday because like people were answering because I prepared so much. I made 120 calls. I was planning on making 250, but I made 120 calls and I scheduled 30 appointments yesterday. So for push right now set up, I have 8 on Tuesday, 8 on Wednesday, 6 on Thursday, 5 on Friday, something like that, where my schedule is like looking really good, but I'm going to continue making phone calls. But preparing these lists is really, really important. So I have 4 different ways that you can do it. And there are more than just these 4 ways, but here's the way that I've done it. Number 1, I went back through all of my referrals and organized them. Like it's not enough to, I'll show you in a second, Zaria. It's not enough just to have like a referral notebook and be like, all right, I've got 500 names in here, like somewhere, let me start calling them. Because what that does is this is what your call day looks like. All right, who am I gonna call? Oh, I'll call that one, all right. Oh, didn't answer. Who am I gonna call? I'm not sure about that one. Well, maybe not. Yeah, I'll come back to that. Let me look at the next page. Right, and that's what your call day looks like. So because I put in that time of preparation in the beginning, I did all of that thinking on the front hand. So when I came to push, I was like, all right, call number 1, call number 2, call number 3, call number 4. So I eliminated all of that thinking just by doing it on the front end, because I think that's important. I was even calling some of my chicken list people who I was scared that were gonna reject me, which is the stupidest thing, but it's just so real. And I'm like scared that they're going to reject me. And I was so proud of myself. I was like, I'm going to influence the region. So I'm going to call. I called the owner of Mardi Gras World. I'm from New Orleans. And so it was my friend's dad. I was like, man, this is super scary, but I called him anyway. He didn't answer, but I felt good because I did it. And I'm probably going to call him another couple times to try to get a demo scheduled. Worst thing that happens is he can say no big deal. So going back through all referrals, that's helpful. Talking to mom and dad again, like sharing your goals. I've asked my mom and dad for referrals 7,000 times probably. I started in 2015, so this is my 6th summer, and almost everything that I've sold has been to my mom and dad's friends because I just keep asking. They're not even that popular, but I just keep asking. And it's not like close friends by any means, but it's like people that know them. And what I've been using that's been really helpful, like, you know how you drop down in your demo, like when they say no to the homemaker, you're like, all right, let me show you the galley. You don't like get discouraged and you're like, oh man, this sucks. If my parents said no to giving me referrals, then I'm going to say, okay, cool. Could you post something on Facebook for me? Like I've got a little drop down system there. Same thing on phone calls, by the way. If someone tells me no, that they're not going to book a demo for whatever reason, then I say, hey, could I friend you on Facebook? Because I'm working crazy hard going for a big goal. So that way you can just like share some of my stuff when I post it on there. Is there any way? So like, that's just a little thing that I've been doing. Third thing, here's how I really built my list. I'll be completely honest with you guys. This right here. My mom is the high school music teacher at a high school, and I went there. So I have this bank of a lot of names and numbers. Right, this is kind of what it looks like. So what I'll do is I write them all down. I call some of them and I tell them that my mom's a music teacher, and some of them are like, well, okay, because they don't really know my mom that well. Some of them are like, oh my gosh, I love your mom so much. And I get those appointments scheduled. What I did to help myself a little bit is I went through it with my mom, and she gave me notes that I put off to the side where it was like, super nice, just had a baby. So that way when I call them, I can say, hey, my mom's Lori Gardner. She told me you were super nice. She said you even just had a baby. Like, how's everything going? So that way I really can build rapport at the beginning of the phone call to get those scheduled, because directories are not the warmest leads, right? But I put in work on the front end to turn them into warm leads. And then the last thing that I've done a lot of that I think can be really helpful if you don't have a directory, if you don't if you don't have a directory, I mean, the best ones are like church, school, neighborhood, and your manager can help you find more of those. I love using the directory, but I would definitely put in some work to find that. But if you don't have a directory, then what you can do is you can use Facebook. And I created a little video to walk you guys through this. You may already know how to do it, and I'll just put it in here in case you want it. tinyurl.com/Facebook names list. Oh, that's not how you spell it. Sorry. Facebook names list. And basically, it's a 2-minute video of me walking you through exactly how I do it. So what I'll do is I'll friend my dad's friends on Facebook. And then once they add me back, I'll send them a message that says, hey, my dad is Corbett Simons. I had a quick question for something I'm doing right now. Could I get your phone number? Generated a lead. My mom, I've gotten, I mean, I can't even tell you how many that I've gotten from doing this. This is how I'm still selling in my initial network. I love selling in my initial network because they know of me. So it makes it so much easier to share my goals and build rapport. Yeah, Zaria, I see that you said, I don't even think I know 500 people. I don't know these people, but you know, I put in the work in the front end to just call them and give it a shot, and got notes from my mom. So that's building my my names list. Another thing that I'm doing is I'm preparing my 11th hour calls. Raise your hand if you know what 11th hour calls are. Okay. So at the end of your push, let's say that you're really close to your goal. You're going to call your customers and say, hey, I'm $1,000 away from my goal. Is there any way that you could possibly buy a veggie peeler to help me hit my goal? And then you call a bunch of people and you try to get some orders. What I'm doing is at the end of every single demo, I'm going to say, and I put this in my master document, so I remember to say it every time. I'm going to say, hey, if I'm super close to my goal on the last night, would you mind if I just called you back to see if I could get you like a really good deal on your wish list? And what I'm doing on here on my demo tracker is I'm circling the ones that said that I could call them back. This is my demo tracker, by the way. So that way I can put how much CPO and how many recommendations I got from each person. And these little words, I don't know if you can read them. This is me putting notes to myself. So that way I can write down the objection I got and ways that I can improve. Because I want to be consistently getting better. I don't want to keep getting the same objection over and over and over for recommendations. So like this first one, so I did 2 demos on Thursday. The first one, she bought a signature with a free entertainer pack. And on recommendations, she gave me 3. And I said, I chickened out and I didn't re-ask. Right? So that way I know. I chickened out. Like I should have just re-asked and tried to get to 5 or tried to get to 10. And I just didn't. But by writing it down, it'll remind me for the next time not to do it, rather than having gone through 10 demos and just, you know, not even knowing why I'm not getting a lot of recommendations. But I'm circling the ones that I can call back for 11th hour calls. So that way when I call them on the last day, they know they already gave me permission to call them. So they're more likely to buy something. On the last day of my fast start, I sold $4,000 between 8 p.m. and 12 p.m. So I was at $13,000 in my fast start going into the last night. And I made a bunch of calls because my manager taught me how to prepare this, and I've done it ever since. So that could be really helpful for you. Other things to prepare leads: friend all of your customers on Facebook after you send them the confirmation email. If you don't have a Facebook, just make one, because that's where all of our customers are. And the other thing is I friended all of my past customers on Facebook. So that way they can see the posts that I'm sharing, that my friends and family are sharing as I go. So that way they can feel tied in, buy something if they'd like to, but mostly just to have, you know, more support. Now, the third thing is my schedule. And in making my schedule, I'll tell you, when I put it together, the number one thing, more important than anything else, is the meetings. Is having the alliance meetings, having the division meetings, having the call days, having that on my schedule. Because if I'm going to commit to giving my best, that means not cutting any corners and showing up to every single meeting. We have a program. You guys have a program for the way that you sell 10K. It's tested. Rocky Mountain Division has dozens of 10K pushers every single year because they follow this program. So I'm not going to schedule any demos on top of any of these meetings. I'm not going to back out. I'm going to 100% commit to the meetings first. Now, the second thing that I'm going to do before I put my demos in my schedule, actually, and I've already done this, is my morning and night routine. The way that you go to sleep determines the way that you wake up. The way that you wake up determines how your day is going to be. So my night routine is I will grab some water so that way I can have it in the morning when I wake up to drink a cup of water. I will set my intentions for the next day and say, hey, here's what I'm excited about for tomorrow. Here's what I want to be intentional about. I will pray right before I go to bed, and I will check the fridge to see what I'm eating the next day. So that way I'm not scrambling and I don't have to go get Wendy's or something like that and spend extra money or eat unhealthily. Here's my little stash, by the way. Let's see if I can show it to you guys. This is my stash of push snacks. I got my Gatorade bars, Cliff bars, quinoa things, trail mix, and I prepared that ahead of time. And I have all my meals prepared. So that's my nighttime routine. So that way I can feel really good about going to bed. I turn my technology and my phone and everything off 30 minutes before I go to sleep. I think 45 is recommended, but I do 30 minutes, just so you know. I'm going to go to bed. I'm going to turn off everything at 10 o'clock. I'm going to go to sleep at 10:30 every night. I'm going to wake up at 6 o'clock. So that way I can get 7.5 hours of sleep. I'm going to work out for 30 minutes, go to Planet Fitness. I'm going to come back home, shower, get ready, go to the office. I'm going to get to the office 15 minutes before the Alliance meeting starts. I'm pushing from the office basically by myself, but you can just pretend like when I say the office, it's your house, because I'm doing it all virtually anyway. But I'm going to get home, or I'm going to get to the office. I'm going to take 15 minutes to just kind of journal, be grateful, and read a little bit before my day starts. And that's just going to set me up to be the best version of myself every single day. And then after I have my nighttime routine and my morning routine set, that's when I put in my demo slots. So I put demo, our Alliance meetings are from 7:30 to 9:30. And so what I did was I share my screen. I started putting in my demo slots after that. And so and I have all these full right now, right? But there's some that aren't full. I have all my demo times over here that still need to get filled. And so here's what my week next week looks like. Obviously I need to put demo slots here. My calendar got a little funky, but I've got my calls. I've got my Alliance meeting. I've got my Bible journal. I've got workout. I even have sleep in my schedule. I've got prep for bed, right? Every single night. I've got my coaching calls. I've got team meeting. So I've got everything in my schedule. And what I did, by the way, is I counted up all my demo slots and I said, okay, I have 121 demo slots. Now to sell $40,000, my average order is a little bit above 500. So I lowballed it at 500 and I said to sell $40,000, I need 80 orders. My closing ratio is a little bit above 80, but I said, all right, my closing ratio is going to be 80. So I need to complete 100 appointments to do 80 demos. Now, here's the biggest way that people have missed their goal in the past, or the way that I've missed my goal, is by saying, oh, I need to complete 100 demos. That's how many I'm going to schedule. So my goal is to schedule 130 appointments, because I'm going to assume that 3 out of 10 are either going to reschedule or cancel, which is higher than what's my average, but I'm just going to lowball everything. So that way, if I just follow exactly what my schedule and what the program and what my plan is, then I know that I hit my goal. So I don't have to be stressed the entire time. Now, meal prepping is really important. I talked about that already. Having that in your schedule, that's been something that I've been doing. Natalie helped me meal prep a lot. So I've got food in the fridge. I got my snacks right here. So that way I'm good to go and being energized throughout the day. Another good thing for your schedule is to have a push needs conversation with your friends and family and say, hey, what do you need from me? Like, what do you need from me during this push? So that way, number one, you can be a good son, daughter, husband, girlfriend, boyfriend, but also so that way you don't have your parents say, hey, we're having this emergency family thing pop up, and it's right now. So that way you don't have to call your manager and be like, hey, I can't make this meeting because my mom said XYZ. If you have that in the front end, you say, hey, mom, what do you need from me? What do we have on the schedule? What do I need to do to be the best son that I can be during this push? Then you eliminate that all on the front end. And that goes along with your schedule. Now, the last things that I'll say to wrap up is You want to have an executive strategy. I think I got that phrase from Drew. You want to have an executive strategy for the way that you are going to execute this push. I feel really calm and confident right now about my push because I know how things are going to work out. I'm willing to put in the actions, and I've accounted for things going wrong, and I'm okay no matter what the result is. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to share weekly gratitude on Facebook for all of my customers. Previously, I've had customers like sign my goal thermometer, but since I'm doing this all virtually, rather than having them sign it or writing their name, I'm just going to give them a shout out. During every single demo, I'm writing one thing that I'm grateful for each customer. So that way, when I post this on Facebook, I can say, at Ennis Bazaar, I'm grateful for you because you were super busy and you took time to do my demo and you put off your real estate closing for 30 minutes. Thank you so much. And I can say that for each person. So that way future customers that I'm friending before booking the appointment, they can see that. They can see the people who've bought from me. Other thing, I would have a master virtual demo document. And here's what mine looks like right now. It has some reminders at the top. Write down one grateful thing each person, make sure I do my 5 before and 5 after, 11th hour ask for help. I'm going to continue adjusting this based on if I forget something or I need to remember. I have my little program down for when I'm booking demos, what I'm texting them, and how I'm putting it in my Google Calendar. I'm putting in reminders for building rapport. I typed out all my goals on here, so that way I can share it with them. This is exactly what it says on my goal thermometer. I've got my rec approach on here, handling recommendation. I have a shareable Facebook post to ask every single person to share on Facebook. And then my last thing to say where I ask them, hey, if I'm really close to my goal, could I call you back? So having and I have all of this shareable, by the way, so I'll send you guys the link. So if you want to look at it and copy any of it, you're welcome to. This might seem like a lot of stuff. And I honestly was a little worried because I thought y'all's push started tomorrow, just like ours. So I'm really glad to get to talk to you guys a week out so you have time to prepare. Because even if push was starting tomorrow, you've got time to start implementing this stuff right away. But it'll be really helpful to have an entire week. You could definitely knock all this out. You're going to have to take it seriously. One thing I will tell you guys since you're a week out is sell this week to build your momentum, build your recommendations. I hadn't done a demo in 3 months, but last week I did a couple of demos. I sold $2,000 because it's really important to build. Well, I guess last week is this week, the week that ends today, but it's really important to build your momentum going into push. This might seem like a lot, so take it one step at a time. Something I just shared on my Instagram is like, for me, it's really important for me to celebrate the little wins, celebrate getting my leads list done, celebrating completing my goal thermometer. Because if I don't celebrate the little wins, then whenever I hit a big goal in my mind, it's going to be like, well, I didn't do enough. I can do better. I remember SC2 as a new district manager, our team won the push. And I remember looking at my team and be like, we could have done better. And while that's true, what I wish I could have done and gone back is said, I am so grateful for you guys. I'm so glad that you guys worked hard and that we won this push, and let's celebrate this moment. Because in the future, what happened is they were like, well, why would I work hard? Because he's not going to appreciate me even when we win. And your mind does the same thing. My mind tells me, why would I go for a big goal if I know that I'm not going to appreciate myself whether I hit it or not? So I think it's really important to honor the little wins. So everything that I just talked about, by the way, is on 2 places. It's on tinyurl.com/SC2 resources. And then the stuff that's not on there is on my social media. My name's in the, you can see it. I guess I'll just type it in there. But I've been sharing my updates from my push and things that I'm learning throughout the last couple of weeks. And obviously our push starts tomorrow. So if you want to friend me on Facebook and steal some of my Facebook stuff that I'm doing, that's great. If you want to follow me on Instagram and get all of the stuff that I've been putting on my story, you're welcome to do that as well. But I'll wrap it there and just say thank you guys for interacting with me on the chat and taking really good notes. And I'm really excited for you guys to get started next week. And to tie it all together from when I first started talking about is to become the person that you're going to become through this push. So thank you guys.
Let's give it up for McColl Simons. I know everybody's on mute right now, but McColl, if you can probably see gallery view and see everybody cheering for you. That was unbelievable. I am unbelievably impressed with just the way that you can put so much on your plate at the same time. Not only that, you didn't even mention that you're leading an entire team of reps who are doing the same thing. So not only leading by example for a 40K push for yourself, but an entire office behind you and recruiting mechanisms. So I've always been a big fan of yours, always been impressed. I've gotten a bunch of text messages during your talk. You've got a lot of fans out there in Rocky Mountain. So one more time for Mr. McColl Simon.
Thank you, everybody.
Appreciate your time. All right. Well, I want to bring our next move into our next message, which is Alex Chaves and Annalis Chaves, and I'm going to do both their introductions, and then I will share their Alex's message first, and then we'll jump into Annalis's. So Alex Chaves from Rocky Mountain Division is at $823,000 in sales. He's 27 years old, started out of the Houston, Texas division and office in June 2013. More recently, in 2018, when he moved to Rocky Mountain Division, he sold $89,000 worth of Cutco. In 2019, last year, he had his biggest year, sold over $216,000 worth of Cutco. Again, been in Denver for 3 years. He's had over 18 10K push, I guess not over 18 10K plus pushes in his career. He loves being a CSP because of the flexibility in his schedule, and he loves that there's no ceiling to his potential in Cutco. It's just a big game for him, and he just tries to see how much he can win. So that's Alex Chaves. His sister Annalis started last year. This is her second year selling Cutco. In her fast start, she sold $9,000 worth of Cutco. In her career, she's at 73 grand in sales already. She's a President's Club winner. She's been a scholarship contender. She's number 32 in the All-American Scholarship race right now. She goes to Abilene Christian University down in Texas. She's a nursing major and a junior. She's passionate about music. She has 300,000 views or likes or followers on Spotify for one of her songs, and she's using Cutco and nursing to really push her singing and music career. So I am very excited for this message on putting together a $10,000 push schedule and a $20,000 push schedule. So Alex is going to go first, and he's going to tee up Annalis, and Annalis is going to follow talking about the $20,000 schedule. So let me see if I can share this appropriately. I'll get it. Don't worry, folks.
Hey everyone, my name is Alex, and I'm here to talk to you guys about scheduling for success. What it takes to go after a 10K push. Like, what does a schedule look like to hit 10K for a push? And then my little sister, who is a guest speaker today, she's gonna talk to you guys about what she did to go after a 20K push. And she sold a little over 22,000 for SC1, and I'm sure she's going after a big goal for SC2. So the first thing and the most important thing is to plan out your schedule. And if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. And I'm sure you guys have heard that from your managers, but it's true. And what's important is to go through every single day of SC2 and say, okay, this Monday, I'm gonna do 6 appointments. Tuesday, 6 appointments. Just find the average of how many appointments you need to do to be able to hit your goal. Let's say you're going after 15K for a push, and your average order is 500. And let's say that you have a 80% closing ratio. What you need to do is figure out, okay, so if my average order is 500, that means that I need to get 30 orders to hit 15,000, because that's, 500 times 30, and I'm pretty sure that's 15,000, I hope. But anyways, my point is break down the math. Don't just say, oh, I'm going to go after 15K and I'm just going to work as hard as I can and I'm going to make as many phone calls as I can and I'm going to do as many appointments a day as I can because that's what I'm going after. It's not going to work out like that. What you need to do is you need to take that 15,000, you need to divide it by your average order, and you need to figure out how many orders you need to get to hit that number. And then based on that number, if you have to get 30 orders to hit 15,000, then what you need to do is go, all right, so that means I probably need to complete 40, maybe 50 appointments to get 30 orders. And then you break down your schedule by how many appointments you need. Let's say that takes 8 appointments a day, all right? Now what's cool during this time period is that you don't have any drive time. You don't have to sit in traffic. You don't have to drive to the next appointment. So you can fit 8 appointments in one day. When I was in college and doing this for a scholarship, I was doing 10 appointments every single day, and that was driving to people's homes. And that was the push that I sold about 36,000. So break it down, have a minimum, have an average, and have a max. All right, I'm going to have a max of 8 appointments every single day, and I'm going to have a minimum of 5 appointments every single day. So that means my average is going to be about 6 or 7 appointments every single day. And as long as I close 5 orders out of those 6 or 7 appointments every day, then that means I'm going to hit my 15, 20, 25, 30,000 push. So go big or go home. But if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. So break it down by every single day, how many appointments you need to have to hit your goal, and then go after that. Now, every day of the push, you should ask yourself, what is the one thing that I can do right now that by doing that one thing, it makes everything else fall in line? It makes everything else easier. So that's big, not just in work and in pushes, but in life. What's the one thing I can do right now that by doing that, everything else falls in line? Now for us at Cutco, and yes, you guessed it, it's making phone calls. So that's the most important thing to a push. And not just making calls during the push, but making calls before the push. So I would encourage you guys that this upcoming week, instead of just doing 1 phone jam a day, crank out 2 or 3 phone jams a day, every single day. The Monday and the Sunday before SC2 starts, you guys should have all day call days set up. So you're not doing any work. All you're doing is you're chilling in your PJs, maybe drinking a couple juice boxes, and you're just setting as many appointments as you can. Now, what's important is it's important to recognize it's humanly impossible to work 8 hours straight. Like if you just work 8 hours nonstop and your brain is just thinking about it all the time, by the time you get to hour 5, by the time you get to hour 6, you're gonna burn out. So what I would encourage you guys to do during these all-day call days is you do 50-minute phone calls and then 10-minute breaks. 50-minute phone jam, 10-minute break. 50-minute phone jam, 10-minute break. And don't just sit there on your phone during this 10-minute break. Get up, take the dogs on a walk, do some push-ups, chug some water, make yourself a smoothie, make yourself a salad. Do whatever it takes to get up and get your body moving. When you wake up in the morning, the first thing that you should do is move your body. So when you wake up, if you want to give people energy, you got to have energy yourself. So just move your body, get some energy, get some exercise. And guys, I don't work out. I don't go to the gym. I don't lift weights. I'm not like Charlie. I'm not cool like he is, even though I wish I was. But my thing is just movement. So I wake up, I take my dogs on a walk. If I'm feeling up to it, I do some push-ups, I do some sit-ups, and then I just get after it. But that movement gets me going. So just make sure that you're planning before the push to do all-day call days. And then during the push, I would encourage you guys to have a set goal every morning. Morning phone jams are some of the best. You can't get away from it. If you make calls from 8:30 to 10 o'clock, you're gonna have a full schedule. So whether you go after an hourly time, I'm gonna make an hour's worth of calls every morning, or if you go after a number of phone calls, I'm gonna make 40 phone calls in one morning, or if you just go after, I'm gonna set 5 appointments every single morning, and I'm going to make calls every single morning until I have set 5 appointments for the next week. So just whatever you have, whatever motivates you, make that your plan, and then you have to take action on it. It doesn't work if you just plan, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this. And then when the time comes, you're like, I'm still tired, man. It's like 8 a.m. and I'd rather be asleep. You guys have to be driven. You guys have to want this more than anything else. My little sister didn't just happen to sell 22,000. She worked her butt off and she planned to sell that much. And she was actually going after 30,000, and she was planning on doing that in the last 2 days. And I was applauding her for it. But anyways, my point is, plan ahead of time and then take action on those plans. And then you have to plan to talk to your friends and family. You have to tell your friends and family, hey, I'm going to be busy during this time period. I've got a big goal that I'm going after. You got to tell your significant other, I don't have time for dates during this time period. I'm going to take you on a million dates afterwards when I have a lot of money in my bank account, and we're going to have a great time. But just know I love you, and I'm working really hard right now. You got to tell your mom and dad, hey, I don't have time to make my bed, okay? I'm in a push right now. I don't have time for chores, Mom. I've got a push to go after. I've got a goal to hit. You know, don't push too hard on that one, but it is a good excuse, so give it a shot. Now, when it comes to pushes, there's average days, there's good days, there's bad days, and there's wild cards. So you can kind of plan accordingly. If you have a bad day, then you know you just got a bad day out of the way. With there being 16 days, I can only imagine that you're going to have about 10 good days, 10 average days. And then you're going to have 2 great days where Mrs. Jones just buys everything. And then you're going to have 2 bad days where Mrs. Jones has a hair appointment and she forgot and she can't do it because her dog's on fire. And like, you're like, oh my gosh, we set this appointment yesterday. And then you're going to have 2 wild card days. So it's just important that no matter what happens throughout the push, you know that it's going to be like this. It's not just going to go like this. It's going to go like that and like that and like that and wish around everywhere. So just know and plan for that. Have that emotional strength that when you have a bad day, instead of getting all down and depressed, you go, hey, I just got a bad day out of the way. So you know what I'm going to do to counteract this bad day? I'm going to go make more calls. And it's 7 o'clock at night, but I'm going to make 30 minutes worth of calls. It's 9:30 at night, but I'm going to make 30 minutes worth of calls or send a couple text messages out and see if I can't book up that last slot that I have for tomorrow. So just go after it and be relentless. Tell Mrs. Jones on the phone, I need to have 7 appointments tomorrow to hit my goal. Is there any way you could squeeze me in during this time period? Now, what's cool is that when your work ethic is through the roof, then those bad days aren't really horrible days. The bad day, as long as you still work your butt off and sell $1,000 on a bad day, that means your good days are 2,000 to 3,000, and that means your best days are 4,000 to 5,000, maybe 7,000 in one day. Think about what your bank account would look like with $10,000 in it at the end of this push. Think about what you're willing to give up during this time period to be able to have that opportunity, to be able to take all your friends out to a really nice restaurant and pay for the whole bill. Why? Because you just made $10,000 in 2 weeks. And my time is up, and now I'm going to give it up to my sister, Annalis, and she's going to share with you what she did to make $11,000 in 2 weeks. Thanks, guys.
You can transform your videos from looking like an 80s home video.
We don't want the next YouTube video. We want Annalis. All right, let me go and find Annalis's screen here and then highlight. And Annalis, I had done your promo and your introduction, so we're just going to jump right into it. Let me unmute you. Spotlight your video. There you go. So Annalis, thank you again so much for taking the time out. I know you are heading into a push yourself just on the back of a vacation. So thanks for taking time out of your vacation to teach us how you went after a $20,000 push, or how you hit a $20,000 push for SC1. Again, went over your stats: 73 grand in sales, a 22K SC1 just a few weeks ago, and number 32 in the All-American scholarship race. Certainly your brother has been there to lead the way, but you kicked the snot at him for SC1. So he's got a lot to learn from you at this point. So thank you again for taking your time. We appreciate it. Welcome to Rocky Mountain Division. Let's give Annalis Chaves a big round of applause.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all. I really appreciate it. It's super fun to be able to, I'm down here in Texas, so, you know, you're going to hear a lot of y'alls and whatever, but so it's been super fun. Honestly, I never thought I would do Cutco. Alex was like, you know, he's saying, Annalise, you got to do Cutco. And I'm thinking, not for me. I'm a nurse. I'm a musician. And I got to about freshman year of college, or Christmas of freshman year, and I think, I'm a broke college kid. My parents can't afford to pay for school. I need money. And like a week later, I forgot it, Ben something texted me, and he was like, do you need a job? And I was like, oh no, is this Cutco? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, so I started working, and it actually turned out to be great. You know, I started out thinking, oh, it's just about how many demos I get, how many demos I do, and then how many sales I make. But, you know, Alex said it, he was like, you guessed it, it's the phone calls. However, you can't expect to have sales if you don't have demos, if you don't make the phone calls. So, you know, I've learned a lot through Cutco. I think everyone should do it for at least a summer. Y'all are in an awesome place. Your managers are great. Listen to what they say. They know what they're talking about, even though you feel like, you know, you don't have to do what they say. You pretty much do have to do pretty much everything they say, just because they know exactly what they're talking about. It's kind of like parents, but like better, because they're actually helping you make money. So I'm just going to jump into it, setting up a schedule for a 20K push. To be honest, I was really scared coming into a push virtually, because I sucked at the virtual demos. With the phone calls, I am very face-to-face. I like seeing people and being able to interact with them that way. So coming in, I was terrified of doing demos over a phone call. So I switched it up, and I put it on a Zoom call instead of a phone call. And that helped me have a little bit more confidence, but I was still scared. I set my SC1 goal was 12K, and I was even scared of that number. I was like, okay, so if I sell 12K, then maybe I can do that. I don't know. I was really scared of that number. But what I started out with is setting up. I'm very visual, and I'm very much of a I write things down, so I'm pretty old-fashioned. I'm going to share my screen. So this was my summer 2020 goal. You know, you start out with making a schedule for, you write your whys. You know, my whys as far as money would be, I want to pay for school. My parents cannot afford to pay for Abilene Christian University. Private Christian schools are not cheap. Any school is not cheap. School, I need a car, computer, living, you know, this is for the dreamers would be nice. Like if I make 26K, absolutely impossible. There's no way I'll be able to do that. And I broke it down and said, okay, well, if I don't pay for school right now, I would like a car and about $1,000 cushion. So this is the minimum that I wanted to make this summer was 12K. And I set those goals thinking, I have no idea what this summer is going to look like because of coronavirus. It flipped everything upside down for everyone. So I was thinking, all right, I'm writing this number down and we'll see what happens. So I said 12K minimum. And then I was thinking, okay, so what do I need to do to reach that goal? As far as sales go and what I was at in percentage, I had about 5K left before I hit 40%. So I said, okay, if I hit that 5K at 40% minimum without the bonus check, I'd make 1,500, with the bonus 2,000. Same thing, if once I hit 45%, if I sold 35, I'd make the minimum 12K. So it's all about finding your end goal and breaking it down. My dad, he jokes all the time, and it's so annoying, but it's so true. He says, how do you eat an elephant? And I'm like kind of grumbling. He's like, and he goes, one bite at a time, because I'm just stressed about something. And he's like, don't freak out. It's fine. You just break it down. So you can't fit a whole elephant in your mouth. You break it down. So if I sell 40K, the minimum I would make is 12K, maximum I'd make 17,750. So I was like, okay, that sounds kind of impossible because I only have 7 weeks left in the summer. So I said, okay, to sell 40K in 7 weeks, if my average order was about 400, I think 400 was actually a little over what my average order was coming into the summer. 40K, 400, I need to do 100 sales this summer. So to do 100 sales, I had about a 60% success rate. I need to complete 170 demos in 7 weeks. Ridiculous number. 70 demos, 7 weeks. That's 24 demos a week, guys. 24 demos for some people is absolutely impossible. 24 demos for other people is like only 24. And then for some people, it's like, I can do that, but I have to work really hard. And that's kind of where I was at. I was thinking, I can put 24 demos into a week. I just have to put in the work. So I said 170 demos. How many phone calls do I need to make? Had about a 20% success booking rate. So I made 850 calls is what I need to do for the summer. Like if anything else happens, the phone calls, I need to make at least 850 of them. That's a lot of phone calls. So broke it down to the day, 20 plus calls a day. Isn't that exactly what your managers tell you? It's just 20 calls a day. Like, I don't know. That's what my managers, it's always, I mean, you do 10 calls now, 5 calls in the afternoon, 5 calls in the evening. You can split it up or do it all at one time. Personally, I like making my phone calls with other people over the Zoom, just because it gets me motivated. Like if I'm sitting in my room alone, no one is there to say, why'd you put your phone down? No one is there to say like, what are you doing? Why aren't you making phone calls? I don't know if y'all know Kathy Kristen, but she's pretty good about, checking on we have an app. I don't know if y'all use Q or not, but it's this app that tracks all your calls. And, she's like, Annalise, why aren't you on Q? And I'm like, oh, sorry, I was just getting my coffee or something. She's like, get on it. So going on the Zoom, I think I made all my calls on the Zoom, not going to lie. Just to give y'all what I did as far as phone calls, I made 380 phone calls in that 2.5 week period. I reached 145 people. I scheduled 90. 20 of them rescheduled or were no-shows, and then 70 of them I actually completed. I did make 120 calls the week before, and that kind of helped me ride the wave into the push week. So basically you have to, I don't know if they tell you about you have to get the momentum going. So it really is like, if you make the 20 calls a day, you'll have the demos. They'll be there in your pocket for you to do the demos. You just have to put in the work. So the way you set up your schedule when you're starting out, put in all the different things that you have to do. Doctor's appointments, team meetings, alliance meetings. If you go to church on Sundays, work out. Like Alex said, you can't work for 8 hours straight and not take a break. Put in those lunch breaks, put in those workouts, even if they're for 30 minutes, or if you just need to like get up and dance, and like, I don't know, find a mirror or something, throw on some music and just like go for it. I mean, you can close the door, make sure no one's watching, but that's what I do. Like when things get kind of hard, I'm right before a demo and I'm like exhausted. Maybe I have a headache or I'm starving, whatever. I'll blast my music, even if it's for like a minute of it. And I have a mirror right here. And I just like, I go crazy. I'm being like totally open with y'all, but it helps so much because you're just like, okay, I got the energy out. It's like a power pose, but I have a passion for music. So that just helps me think about it better. And I don't know, my brain just focuses better when there's music. So find those little things for you that help you stay focused. My mom, she's always so frustrated at me when I was in high school doing my homework with music on. She's like, you can't focus. And I was like, yes, I can. So find those little things. Like maybe for you, it's just chugging water like every minute. I don't know. Some people are crazy with water. I don't really like water, but find those little things that make the difference for you, that get you motivated. Maybe it's going on a walk with your dogs. I would set 30 minutes to go on a run or something. But that's super, super important, because it's not just about the demos. It's about the prep and the way you prepare your body and your mind into working hard. Because like Alex said, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. If you don't make a plan, then your emotions are going to trickle behind it, because people tend to make choices based on how they're feeling. So if you don't make a plan and tomorrow you're just like, I'm just going to do this many demos, I'm just going to do as many as I can, your emotions are just going to kind of like be a little lower than what your goal was. Especially if you don't make a goal, it's not going to work out. So definitely like make a plan, even if you think I can do better. Like I would personally set a goal that's either ridiculous or something that's a little above what you think you can do. And because the higher you reach, the higher you'll achieve. So I'm very much, I think things in a very big picture, and then I break it down smaller and smaller and smaller. So this was my summer goal. I'm going to work on changing my summer goal up a little bit, because I was more successful than I thought I would be. And I realized that it's because I made the phone calls. I didn't used to be so, like my phone time started to become clockwork. And it was, if you want to take a break and not do a demo, any demos on a day, you still have to make phone calls, because it's all about momentum. And so I broke it down. I'm going to actually make it a little higher, but for my, let me see if I can, where's the other picture? Okay. So for my SC2, so I broke it all down. I write everything out just because you'll remember it better, and it will kind of mean more to you if you write it down versus typing it out. I'm super old school. Things just have more meaning to me when I've handwritten it all out, because it just like, it's real. And then I can post it. I have like a wall right here of like my summer goals, notes I've gotten from like Mike Lanzetta and whatever. I have those things just like staring at me in the face when I'm giving my demos. So especially with virtual demos, take advantage of that. When you're in person, you don't get to have, you get to have your manual and notes, but you don't get to have like summer goals right here, or like, drink water over there or something. I don't know. So I broke it down. I said, so far I've made this much. It would be nice if I could make that much more. Minimum, I'd like to make 1,500 more. What I need to do, 35K with the bonus, I would make 15,750. So my goal for SC2 is 35K in 3 weeks. I was writing this down and I was like, really, my leg was shaking. I was really nervous about it. But, the higher you reach, the higher you'll achieve. So same thing. I did the exact same thing here as I did for my summer goal here. But then I started thinking, okay, I need to do a little bit more than that. So, one of my flaws for SC1 was I suck at going to bed on time. Like I was going to bed probably 2 or 3 every night during SC2, and then getting up for the morning meetings at 7:30, 8-ish. So like it wasn't ideal. And I was very tired during the day just because I didn't go to sleep. So, and I'm very much of a night owl. So my goal this time, just to help myself get a little better, I want to go to bed before midnight and get up at 7. So 7 hours of sleep. And then I want to wake up in the morning, have my breakfast, do my devotions, and then get into making the phone calls. I wrote down a list of my excuses and how I'm going to combat them. If I say I'm tired, I will physically say I have energy. That physical statement of you saying I have energy, it like triggers chemicals in your brain that you will not that like it will make you feel more motivated to have the energy and keep going. And these are things I can do. I can drink water. I can go jumping down, dance in the mirror. I can get enough sleep the night before. Drink a cup of coffee. If you need, take a quick nap. 10 to 15-minute power naps are the best. Like I'd get out of a demo, I'd jump on my bed, timer, 10 minutes. Timer goes off, wake up, sit up. You have to force yourself to get up. Otherwise you'll fall back asleep for like another 2 hours and then the rest of the day will be shot. But, and then another excuse would be, I worked hard enough already. Like, shoot, I did a really good day yesterday. Like, I'm just going to kind of take it easy today. I had to cancel. I'm not going to make phone calls while this canceled. Look at your goals and aim higher than them. If you are already above your goals, go farther. Like, see how much farther you can get and then look back and say, I really did that. I got higher than my goals. And then for me overall, like I'm a Christian, so I do pray, like I ask God, just to help me do well in my demos and I really like doing my demos to make people laugh and to make people smile. So like my whys: make God and my family proud, pay for school, car, computer, music. I love the fact that I get to network. I've met producers, songwriters, nurses, doctors, musicians. That is huge for Cutco. And then I just like to help people in their kitchen. I realized it's a conversation about what they need, not instead of focusing, I need to sell the homemaker, focus on they need the galley or they need a trimmer, because that in itself will just help you. It's like a rhythm, a rhythm of helping people and making them laugh, making them smile. You actually help them and then you feel better about it instead of just like homemaker, because it stresses me out to think about it that way. I think my time is almost up. I'm not totally sure. I'm very bad at keeping time. So really quick, I don't know, is there a way, Drew, for you to share this with them?
Yep, I can send it out on the back end. So if you just want to highlight it, and you are right, we're at that time, but feel free to share your call sheet real quick, and I'm happy to send it out and share it with everybody.
Absolutely. So this is my personal call sheet. I've done it probably, I don't know, for a long time, but I have like my SC1 push. This is everything I did for my SC1 push. This was like my pre-push week right here. And it just has how many calls I make and I tally it. Even though you have queue, it helps you to like see what you're doing. So calls, how many you reached, how many you booked, and then you can use that for making goal setting in the future. I like using things I did in the past to help me set up for my future. But yeah, that is honestly how I would go about setting goals and then reaching them. It's all about big picture, break it down, action right now. So I know my time is up, so I hope y'all really got some good nuggets, if not from me, from anyone else who's talking, and I really appreciate y'all listening. Thanks so much.
Let's give Annalis a big round of applause. Thank you so much for being on our call. Again, taking time out of your schedule, out of your push preparation, out of your vacation to teach us. Excellent stuff. I love your simple focus on just action, activity, and just the positive self-talk. You have such a strong control of your mentality and your emotions, and that's why you're able to have such a big goal and not get intimidated by it. Phenomenal stuff. Thank you again so much for being part of our meeting today. Let's give one more big round of applause for Annalis Chaves. All right, our next speaker is, let me transfer over to Mr. Alex Mazurek. Maz is our next speaker on the agenda. He's be talking about your top 50 list. And creating your top 50 is extremely important. You heard McColl talk about the names list. You heard Alex and Annalis talk about the names list. And it's so important to have your list prepared so that way it can just be action-based when you when you're ready to phone. So Maz, I've given you an introduction on every meeting that we've had this campaign so far. For those that are brand new, for those that just launched recently and are new to our team, Alex Mazurek is a perennial champion, not just in our division, but in Cutco as a whole, one of the most widely respected district managers as a trainer, a leader, and a mentor in all of vector marketing. His team right now is crushing it. North Denver office is #1 in the division for the summer and for the year with new rep sales and overall, and they're just absolutely handing it to everybody this past month. So #1 in Rocky Mountain Division. You've been #1 several weeks in a row in the Southwest region as well in the North Denver office. So Mr. Alex Mazurek, if you can teach us and school us on how to prepare our names list for SC2 push. Let's give it up.
Beautiful. Thanks so much. Team, I need you. We're going to dive in. It's going to be not a whole lot of me talking, but a whole lot of us getting into the immediate activity of what we need. What did we just learn from them? We learned how to set up a push. We learned the importance of making sure you got your goals, you got your schedule mapped out. We have the call days this weekend, but we got to get some people to phone. We got to get some people to call. And this activity, my goal here, and we're going to go through this pretty quickly, is in the next 10 minutes to help you guys create your best list. Now, mission 100 to mission 200, like McColl was saying, and obviously he got up to 400. Mission 100 to mission 200, that's your minimum goal. For whatever you want to go after and push, to have 100 to 200 names and numbers on your contact list at a minimum. But what I'm going to cover with you guys right here is your top 50, the best ones that you can call starting now and through this weekend to get in front of the best people as you kick this off. So here's what I need from everybody right now is grab out your list. Grab out your current lists, your referrals, grab out your OG list, the one you made in training, grab out all that stuff. And then I also need you guys all to grab out a brand new sheet of paper. So again, this is not going to be a whole lot of listening to me. I'm going to create a lot of activity and action here. So I need all you guys to do that for me rather quickly. So as we talk about this, this is it. This is the time to put all of your fear behind you and get this thing done. We're going to pull out all the stops right now. I'm going to go through some categories. I'm going to break this down on how to build your list up with the best people, different ways to add more people on, how to reach out to your best customers, past customers, your friends, your family, your friend, getting a hold of friends' parents. So all I'm going to say is before this activity, if there was ever a time to full send it, it is now. Some of you guys are going to use this push as your last hurrah before college. You're going to use this as an opportunity to make $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 plus in income. Some of you guys are going to use this push as an opportunity to potentially get promoted to an assistant manager or to a field sales manager and be full-time sales. But this activity is what's going to set it up for you. So top of this page, put my top 50. My top 54 push. And we can break this down in multiple categories. We could break this down in terms of your current best customers referrals. So who do we really want to kick this thing off and start with? Who are the best leads that you still have? Who bought the homemakers, the signatures, and the ultimate sets? Look at the recommendations specifically for those people. Those should definitely be on your top 50 focus. Who else are we looking at? Mac customer focus, your Big Macs. What is Big Mac? Married, 3060, C is crib, and then K is kids. So your Big Macs. Think about showing the top people right now. McColl said this, man, he's going after a 40K push, hasn't done a demo in months and was like, I need to go out and sell. He sold $2,000 this past week. That's where some of your best recommendations are going to come from. So if you're sitting there and you're like, I don't have 100, I don't have 200 people on my list right now, do your best demos right away. This week, hit him. There's a dude on our team. His name is Kuba Marusars. He's on the call with us right now. And Kuba last week did a demo. One of his best customers. He could have saved that person for the call days. He could have saved that person for his first day of push, but he showed them now, sold the homemaker set to them, and got 30 recommendations. He gave them a big free piece of Cutco. They bought from him and he incentivized them to beat his record, which was 26. And he said, hey, I got you a free piece of Cutco if you can beat my record and get me up to 30. So he, instead of just having one homemaker later, now he's got 30 potential homemakers for push. So show your best people right now. Absolutely. Kuba, thank you for that example. So let's start making a list. And I'm going to go through some categories. And as I go through these categories, you can specifically write down the categories and think about the people you can get from them. As I go through the categories, you can also specifically be writing down people that come to mind from this category. When I think about previous 10K pushers, I've had quite a few of them over the years. The first category I think of is yearbook. Gibson Schaefer, she sold $10,000 for Push 2 years ago. The first thing she did, because she'd been with me for a couple years. Gib had been on the team for quite a while, and she was going to rebuild her list, as you guys are going to do right now. And she pulled out her old high school yearbook. She had graduated 2 years prior, and she went and friend requested every one of them. Everybody from her graduating class, everybody from the graduating class underneath her, and everybody from the graduating class above her. She went full send, friend requested every single one of them. She was able from that to add 40 or 50 brand new names and numbers to her contact list. And so many of those were on her chicken list. She hadn't talked to any of those people in 2 years. She said her biggest chicken on that list was she called the guy who was like a year older that she thought was always just the cutest dude. And she was like really nervous to reach out to that guy. Messaged him on Facebook. Hey, quick question for you. It's a little bit too long to type. It's about a scholarship I'm trying to earn for school. Could I grab your phone number? That's as simple as the message is. Hey, I know this is out of the blue. I had a quick question for you. It's a little too long to type. It's about a scholarship I'm trying to earn for school. Could I grab your number really fast? She got his phone number, called him up. By the way, I remember this conversation. Her doing this in the office. She was like shaking, getting ready to do this. He's like the nicest dude. He called her, read the phone approach on how to call a friend and get a parent's phone number. His mom bought a homemaker during her push. She only hit 10K by a couple hundred. Like all of these little steps that you guys are about to do, some of you guys are going to hit 10K by vegetable peelers and trimmers. Every one of them is going to be so important. So your yearbook. I think about old teachers. Madison Lunavangsa, I'm looking at her right now in the North Denver office. Every one of her teachers from Holy Family High School, she has reached out to over email first, gotten their phone number, and then given some of them a call. She's sold to 3 or 4 of her high school teachers. She just graduated. Think about old coaches. Joe Rodriguez, he's had 6 10K pushes before. When he was brand new going into his first SC2 push, Little League. He was going all the way back to when he played basketball and like 10 years old. McColl mentioned this, mom and dad. How many more, and you can write a number next to this one, if you sat down with mom and dad and really tied them into your goals and really had an in-depth conversation of what this could do for you, how many more could you get from mom and dad? The directories in the house, their cell phones. I would write down mom and dad's Facebook. I would write down aunts and uncles' Facebook. Brothers and sisters' Facebook. And obviously, if it's aunt and uncle and those people, get permission on the front end to see if you can reach out to some of those people. But Jared Dupre, as he prepped for his SC2 push last year, he asked his mom, hey, can I shoot a quick message to all your friends on your Facebook list? And she was like, absolutely. And the message was, hey, Mrs. Jones, my name's Jared Dupre, Stacy's son. I just had a quick question for you. Thought you might be able to help me out with something I'm doing for school. Can I grab your phone number really fast? And he was just getting phone numbers on the front end a whole week prior of all of her Facebook friends. Next category I want you guys to write down is your previous customer list. I think everybody on here has a minimum of probably 20 to 50 previous customers. And the conversation there as you prep for these call days, giving them a phone call and first off, just doing a check-in, seeing how they are, how are they liking their Cutco? Number 1, that's great customer service. Number 2 is saying, and by the way, Ms. Jones, I am in the biggest contest of my life with Cutco right now. I'm trying to rebuild my list for this contest. I was wondering if you might know one other person I might be able to reach out to and do a demo for. Sometimes we feel like we need to hit a home run with every past customer that we call and see if we can get 10 more from them. What if you just got one brand new lead from 10 customers that you called back? That's 10 brand new customers on your list. You're a 10th of the way to Mission 100, and those are good recommendations. Jenny Sear, a couple years ago. And be right, and as I talk, I'm just going to give you guys thought jog and updates. Jenny Sear on the team last year had a 4,500 CPO sale right in the middle of SC2 push because she just wrote down her orthodontist. She had braces when she was younger, and you know, if you had braces, your parents spent a lot of money on those braces. Your ortho owns, he or she owes you one. So her ortho bought an ultimate set. And then he bought a set of Cutco for all of his dental assistants and his receptionists. It was over a $4,000, or he paid close to $7,000, but CPO wise, after the deal that we gave, it was $4,500 CPO. Ortho's a good one. If you have a realtor, if you have a family, your family real estate agent, they can't buy realtor gifts from you, but they can buy residential. Mortgage broker, if you have family lawyer. Here's one that I would think about is like, what networks do you want to get into for push? There was this kid that I went to high school. His name is JMO Reinhardt. Not really good friends with him, but I remember from my first SC2 push, I reached out to JMO. JMO drove a brand new car to school that he definitely didn't purchase himself. And I knew that he lived in Columbine Country Club in Littleton. I didn't have any customers in Columbine Country Club, but he was one of my previous high school just acquaintances. Reached out to him, got his number, called him up, got his mom's number, Andy Reinhardt. She had everything. Michael Athens, who's a CSP, already had sold to her, but she bought and gave me 8 recommendations. She bought like $300 worth of gifts, 8 recommendations, all to housewives in Columbine Country Club. Man, I was hanging out in Columbine Country Club for a couple of weeks. So maybe there's a market you want to get into. Who did you go to high school with that maybe is in that market? Do you know that has a boat? Do you know somebody that has a boat? It's a great one. Do you know somebody who has an RV or a camper? That's a great one. Do you know somebody who's got multiple homes? Who was your student council class president? Captain and cheer. Bless you, Josh. Do you know somebody that's a business owner? Do you know somebody who has a lot of kids? That's a good top 50 list there. You know, Trey on the team has been prepping for his push. He's a branch manager, full-time branch manager. He's been prepping for his push, and he's done a lot of these things from his yearbook and from Facebook, and he's using Instagram a lot. He's going to post actually this message here in just a second if he hasn't done so already. And Trey has gotten 30 parents' phone numbers from doing this through Instagram. And he sat down with his mom again and got 30 more numbers from her. That's 60 top leads just from those 2 avenues. Now, again, it takes work and it takes consistency and doing this for the next 4 days until the call days begin on Friday. But man, that front end work creates a lot going forward. Have you sat down with your siblings? Because imagine if you have a sibling that's a little bit younger, a little bit older, and they didn't do this job. Imagine if they did have to do the job. What would they have to do in preparation for training? They would have to sit down and create a list of 20 to 50 people they could start off with. A lot of those would be friends' parents. A lot of those would be more of their personal acquaintances. I'll just pretend like they're starting the job. Who would they start with? And that'd be a great avenue for you to add more names and numbers to your list. I know we're talking top 50 right now, but all of these categories, absolutely, even not even counting the recommendations that you guys have right now in your current list, just through these categories, everybody could add another 50 to 100 plus people to their list. Now, here's my suggestion. Trey just sent the message here in the chat box. It's how to reach out to some friends on Instagram and Snapchat. Also, the phone call. Don't ever disregard the phone call. I like the phone call a lot. It's really, really easy. You just call up a friend. You're like, hey, Josh, I'm calling all my friends right now. I started this new job. I'm a huge contest, earn a scholarship. All I've got to do is a quick presentation for people and get their opinion on something. It's really easy to do, but I have to see people that are over 30 and own a home. And I was thinking your parents fit that description. I have to actually call them and ask them personally about it. So, you know, even if they're too busy, that's fine. It really just helps me to call them and ask them about it. So I wanted to see who would be easiest to talk to. Would it be your mom or your dad? Like, who answers the phone most often? Your mom? Dope. Do you mind if I grab her number really quick? It would help me out a ton. Perfect. Sweet. Well, I really appreciate it. I got to go. I'm going to try to win this thing. I cannot thank you enough for your help. By the way, does your aunt or do you have any like nice aunt or uncles or grandparents that I might be able to reach out to too? Just toss it out there. You got a supportive homie. They could give you some more of their friends and family too. But that script that I just read for you guys, I have that memorized like back of my hand. That thing verbatim. That script helped me pay for school. And it works every time, every dang time. Are we still writing? Keep going. And obviously, think about your chickens. I mean, a lot of these are going to be on your chicken list, or probably are already on there. but those are your best. Guys, I like this activity because it forces you to think of people that are still in your current network outside of referrals. And to be honest, 9 years of doing this, those are layups. Those are easy to book. They're a lot easier than sometimes you think they're going to be. I mean, that was Gibson when she went after that 10K push and she just got all of these friends, parents' phone numbers from her old high school, Pomona High School. And just because she went to Pomona High School with them, they were so easy. She went into her first week of push with 28 demos already booked. And most of them were from that activity she did of rolling through a yearbook. And getting 5 to 10 referrals from those 20 plus demos she was able to complete for her first week. That's another 100 plus recommendations on your list of putting in this front end work. And she was nervous. She was a little scared to call those people, but they're all down. They're not doing anything right now. They're a lot more supportive than sometimes we give people credit for. And the people that did say no, because for sure you're going to have that, she just moved on. She's still not talking to those people like she was already planning on doing in the first place. All right. Now here's my assignment, because I got to move forward and let our next speakers go. But the assignment here is really organize your top 50. If you can go into Friday, that first all-day call day, and you can go into Friday and have this top 50 really fine-tuned and finalized, it's good, it's full of solid Mac customers. You're going to have a great first day of phoning for push. Then you come into Saturday and Sunday, you got momentum behind you. You still got good leads and you're over that mission 100 to 200. You've got many more people to call. But the assignment is, guys, by Friday, have your top 50 mapped out, organized. Just like McColl said, you don't have to flip around for all this stuff. You want to go from A down to Z and just call. So put it in. No one's going to do it for you. All right. Let me know if you guys need anything else. I'm happy to help.
All right. Let's give it up for Mr. Alex Mazurek. As I'm thinking about this from Alex, I was getting a couple text messages from some of the branch managers, and just the amount of follow-up. We talked earlier about put the cream in first. What Alex just talked about, like, that is your jug of cream for the entire 2 weeks of push. I mean, you working on this list, the more you put into that, you have free-flowing CPO coffee for that's. I'm just going to stop with the analogy, but you get it. So the more time you put into this, the better your push is going to be. So anyway, spend the time. All of your waking moments are building momentum. As Matt said, do your best demos now that we can get more referrals. Sell as much this week so you can build confidence and momentum for next week. And let's make this list robust. McColl said he doesn't want to think about it, just wants to make the calls. And if you can keep doing what Maz just did, parents, Facebook, siblings, directories, neighbors, just anything and everything that you can think of to build that list. Once again, Mr. Alex Mazurek. All right, next up we have Miss Allie Lium, and Allie is, let's see here, get your spotlight on here, Maz. Here, hold on. Got to cancel you. There we go. Allie Lium, let me spotlight her video. This is her second time. This is a two-time, you and Taylor Heselton, both two-time agenda people on Rocky Mountain events for this summer. There's going to be a competition. We'll see who has a bigger SC2, and I forced to give another talk later in the summer. But Allie Lium out of the Albuquerque office, making a huge difference on Athena's team. She just talks about your habits, your work ethic, your consistency, and just your no BS attitude. You're super sweet, but you're just absolutely ruthless when it comes to hitting your numbers, hitting your goals, and being tough on yourself. 6 weeks in Cutco, $17,000 in sales. Senior at Sandia Prep High School, hiking, dancing, and you love most learning from new experiences, Cutco being, I think, the most important one right now. You sing at 2 different churches and volunteer. You're going to be a biomedical science major and minor in voice performance. So much to do with SC2 push and selling knives, but I want to hear from you. How do you set up your phone jams? How are you setting up your phoning for push to get the most out of your phone time and give yourself the best opportunity to hit a 10K push? Let's give it up for Miss Allie Lium.
Hi, so unlike most of the people that are speaking today, I never actually did any of the in-person things. So I was straight virtual, and that is terrifying for me because I'm into theater, I'm into dance, I'm really into performing, but there's a difference between performing in front of an audience where you really can't see their faces and talking one-on-one with someone. So ever since I was a kid, I hated talking on the phone. Like my friends would call me like for like play dates when I was like 5, and I would just pass the phone over to my mom, and that still went on. Like I can do FaceTimes, but phone calls, no way. Yeah, but I accepted the job. Of course, I was going on to base pay. So then when we went into training and we had to make our first phone calls, I was terrified. I think I called my mom and my grandma and my dad first. So I called my mom and I could not hit that call button. Like I've called her millions of times. She's my mom. But she didn't even answer the phone. She came into my room and she's like, "What do you want?" And I was like, I'm not going to be able to finish this unless I actually make the phone calls with the people I know. So I did that first phone call. I made it through my grandma and my dad. And those were okay because I've known them before. But then you get into your top 5 list that are maybe your parents' friends that you might text, like to figure out when you're coming over, but you never actually deal with them like on the phone. So those were terrifying. And I don't know if it's the same for any of you, but I can easily put in a number to my phone, but pressing the call button is the scariest thing. And then, so I would do it. It was awful. And I would cross my fingers and be like, please don't answer, please don't answer, please don't answer. And I still do that. Like, but it's just getting yourself to hit that call button. But doing that, I was able to book 42 appointments for my fast start, and 34 of those I sold on. So I ended with $11,874 for my fast start. And these are just a few tips that I picked up along the way. So as you know, phoning is the most important. You really can't have a successful push or a successful fast start without those. So even though it's the least favorite, if you do it, you feel so much better after. So the most important thing is to set up a schedule and make it your routine. So when you have your plan, especially for a push, you need to plan it out ahead of time, which everyone else has said. For those like that weekend, you need those days of phoning. But that means that you actually need to know yourself, because they tell you like you can't do 8 hours of phoning, but they're like, maybe you can do an hour with a 10-minute break, but that's going to be different for everyone. So personally, I can do an hour, but I need like a 20-minute break because my mind just won't focus otherwise. And if I'm really in a bad place, like I can't focus, I'll do a 20-minute with a 5-minute break. So it's the same amount, but you need to plan it out in your schedule when you're going to take those breaks. And it's just planning. So you plan out your phone time, you plan out your phone day, when your breaks are. You need to plan out your list ahead of time. These are all things that people go over and over and over again, but that's because they're the most important, and you will see success if you do it. Sorry. But yeah, so it's really great, but like you need to plan out your schedule and let your manager know. Because how many of you have gotten a call from your manager and she's like, hey, have you phoned today? And you're like, no. And she's like, well, are you going to hop on and do it? And you're like, yeah. And then you go back and you sit on your phone and you watch TikTok or something like that, because I've done that. And then you kind of feel bad after. You're like, and then your schedule gets lost, and then you have 0 appointments ahead, and then it's just a drag to make phone calls. So just having that plan in place will really help you, just knowing when you are and sticking to it. Next, you really need to have a workplace. So it's definitely different than going to an actual office. You don't have to drive like you're 30 minutes down and have a phone call and like go to the office. So the work that you have now is through Zoom. So I actually think that someone mentioned this earlier, but hopping on Zoom is a great place to get in the zone for work. My favorite thing is to post that I'm doing a phone jam in my group meet, because you never know who's going to hop on with you. So if you just hop onto your phone jam, you're like, here's my code, and people might join you, but you feel a lot more motivated to just actually phone, because people might be watching you. Like you could have your manager hop on and be like, how you doing? And like you might be on Snapchat and you're like, ooh, no. So just having your workspace. So you need your plan, and then you need your workspace. So that is a really good mentality to stay in, because when you step away from Zoom, you'll actually have your free time. But then when you hop back on Zoom, you know you have to work. And it's really boring to Zoom by yourself, but sometimes it's necessary. But that's also why it's great to have your accountability buddies with you. So I have 4. And I probably need more because sometimes they'll be unavailable and you'll slack behind. So having that accountability with your manager, with your family, with your friends is really important. My favorite is with Athena. We plan out my schedule every day and we like talk through it, and I have my deadlines for my phone jams, all of that stuff, but it's also just for my personal life because personally I need those deadlines and I need that accountability, not just with myself, but with somebody else. Because it's important to have it with yourself, because this is it's your own network. You are responsible for your success, but that doesn't mean you can't have support. But then you just need to stay motivated with yourself, but you have other people motivating you. So your manager, your family. If you haven't done this, sit down with your family and have a conversation about your goals, what you want to hit for your push, why you want to hit it, but also what they can do to help motivate you. So let's say that I think somebody told me, Athena told me the story where she would make her mom like not let her come out of her room. And that's really beneficial for her because she needs that motivation. She needs that tough love where like if she doesn't want to do it, she'll get a banana thrown at her. But for me, that just means that I can't have the distractions of a parent in my room. So I need to lock my door, and I need to make sure that they're not in the house or that they're at work or that they're busy with their friends or something like that, because my mom and I have a really good bond. So if we have a chance, we'll hang out together, and that just doesn't work for me. So sitting down and having that conversation with her or with your dad or whoever is really important so that they know what they can do to help you. And then, of course, your accountability buddies are great because they're in the same job as you. They know exactly what it takes to be successful. So your other friends won't get it. Like I have so many other friends that are like, do you want to hang out? And I'm like, I can't. And they're like, but why not? You make your own schedule, but you have this in your schedule that you need to sit down and phone. So that's what you're going to do. And that's why having the accountability buddies on your team is so important, because they're going to push you and you're going to push them, and you want to see each other succeed. And it can become a competition too. Like it can be a friendly competition, of course, but just having that is really, really important. So you have your workplace, which is your Zoom. You have your accountability, which is yourself, your manager, your family, and your accountability buddies. And you have your plan. But how do you actually execute that? Because you can have all of those things prepared, but you can still talk yourself out of phoning. But that is really why you need to limit your distractions that you have. So you have your workspace, but how easy is it for you to set up a Zoom and then have your dogs in the room that are barking and wanting to play toy with you? So you do that. So I've had to figure out what works for me. And that means that I can't have food anywhere near me. I can't have dogs. I can't have any outside noise. I can't have my family. I can't be outside. I've really tried it, but it just doesn't work for me. And that's just because I would way rather play with my dog. I would way rather eat food. I would way rather do anything than phone. It's my least favorite thing. I still am terrified of it. So that's why putting yourself in that workspace, closing your door, limiting all of your distractions is the most important thing. And that also includes your phone. Put it on airplane mode, not airplane mode because you actually have to call people, but put it on like do not disturb. And you can use it during your breaks. Like you've planned out your breaks, so you know that at some point you'll get to use it. I mean, you should actually use those to eat and exercise, but like one of them you can definitely use to be on your phone. It just is what works for you. And yeah, so getting rid of the noises, getting rid of the parents, the dogs, just everything like that will help you stay in the zone, because if you don't get notifications on your phone, you have no need to go onto social media and check them and respond to people. And that's really difficult just because our entire society is built on like this social media now. So that's what we're used to. That's our communication, especially with COVID going on. So just limiting that will really help you feel like you actually can stay motivated throughout your entire phone jam. And of course, then snacking. Snacking's a really easy habit to get into. I love it. I do it all the time. I was doing it during this meeting, but during phoning, that's unrealistic. You can't eat food and call people at the same time. I'm pretty sure a lot of you know that. And it will just really eat away the time that you're gonna spend on the phone because you can't chew and talk. Yeah. And then the last thing for me really is deadlines. I'm just a person that needs to have a plan in place. So again, sitting down and having that planned out, but then having your deadlines, your rewards, and your punishments for yourself. So let's say that you sat down for an hour and you're like, okay, I'm gonna make this many phone calls, and you fall short a little bit. Are you gonna just say, oh, it's okay, I stayed there for an hour, and feel bad about it, knowing that you could have put in an extra like 20 minutes and finished your phoning? You should do that. You should do it no matter what. And let's say that maybe you had a goal of 4 appointments, or like 7 appointments booked, and you only made like 5, and you really can't, like you have like a dinner or something that you can't really go back and do, you really should work on the next day going twice as hard. Maybe instead of doing 5 or like going for 7, go for like 10, because then even if you fall short, then you'll still have made up the goal that you had for yesterday that you fall short of. But then, of course, if you go ahead and you are doing better than your goal, you should reward yourself. Maybe give yourself like a longer break if you have that time, or I don't know, get ice cream afterwards, because you're doing good for yourself and you need to reward yourself for that, because it's really easy to just get in the habit of going through work, and if you keep doing that, you'll just burn out. So having time for yourself, rewarding yourself when necessary, and knowing when you need a break is really, really important. I mean, I've definitely burnt out before. After my fast start, I was like, I'm just going to keep pushing. And eventually I just got burnt out. I could not do the phoning anymore. And that's what cost me. And that's what made me have below average things for about 2 weeks. So I really had to boost that up, and I needed to know when to stop and when to keep pushing. But yeah. And it's really, I know that we have a lot of things that are told to us about how many appointments you should have ahead, how many appointments you should book, how many times you should phone a day. And those are all coming from really, really, really successful people, and it can be overwhelming. I know like the 5 before, 5 after rule that we're talked about, it's really hard for me to do that, and I try. And sometimes it's not successful. During push, I make sure it's successful, but sometimes I just can't do it. So you need to know what works for you. And it's really about just figuring out what works for you, because we'll have all these calls, and these are all really important things that we should take note of, but they're based on their own experience, and we're all different people, so you need to know that. But the biggest thing is you can have all of this set up. You can have your accountability, your plans, you can have your deadline set for yourself, all of that, but nothing will be successful if you don't have that mentality and you don't have that workplace set up. Because you can lie in your bed and do these phone calls, but are you really going to be excited about them? Are people actually going to be motivated to come and talk to you and hear what you have to say about your goals and about what you want to do with your future? They're not. You have to be willing to put in that energy. And that's why coming back to the whys are so important. You need to have those whys, and you need to have those names list all set up, because otherwise you won't be able to follow through, because your brain will just talk you out of it. So it's really about that mentality going into your phone jams, having them planned with your friends, anything like that, and just having that accountability on yourself, but having that support system behind you. But it's really, so it's about going into the phone jam itself with that good mentality. And even if you don't get a call, you need to go into every single phone call with that same mentality. And it doesn't matter how terrified you are, as long as you hit that call button, you're okay, I promise. But my goal for this push is to have 65 appointments. And that means that I need to have 30 done by Monday. So that means that I'm going to do those I'm going to do Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I'm going to do those phone jams, and I've spaced them out for myself. So I'm going to do about 6 hours during those is my goal. But I'm going to have those breaks set up so that I can walk my dog, I can go on my phone, I can eat. And that's what you should do too. But make sure that it's set up for you and not for, let's say, somebody else that has been doing this for 7 years, because it's going to be different for people that are coming into the job versus people who have been here for years. And you're going to have to work up to that stamina of the people that are super, super successful. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't take notes from them and integrate them into your life. It just means know how much you can add to yourself before you follow through with that. But the last thing that I really, really want to talk about is that you need to do those phonings, because I don't know if you've noticed this, but having appointments ahead makes it 10 times easier to do phone calls, because you have less pressure riding on yourself. If you actually stick with those scheduled phone gyms that you have for yourself and you are following through with that, you will have appointments ahead. And when you have appointments ahead, it's easier to get on the phone. And if you have no calls, you're not as stressed because you know that your entire paycheck isn't riding on that. Because I mean, I know that it's not really about the money. Well, it is about the money for some people. For me, it's just about the number of appointments. But knowing that where your next paycheck is coming from in those next appointments is really, really helpful. But yeah, you just need to keep yourself motivated and check up with your manager and make sure that everything is in place for you to do your best, and then go into it with that right mentality. So again, it's really just limiting your distractions, having those deadlines set for yourself. And it's also about having that workplace, having that right environment that is really friendly to you, that you know it's where you have to work, having those right people, and holding yourself accountable with your plans. Yeah. And yeah, I think that was it. I'm not sure.
Wonderful. Let's give Allie Lium a huge round of applause. Allie, thank you so much for those keys and those tips. Your focus, your straightforward focus of not getting distracted, and just being tough on yourself with your metrics and your numbers. Such important reminders. Thank you so much. We have our final speaker, Mr. Kevin Barthe, finishing up our meeting today. I know we're at that hour, and listen, the push is about what you put into it. So regardless of the time, I would be taking more notes, feverish notes during this wrap up. If you have a demo that you had scheduled exactly at 1 o'clock, I'm not sure why that would have made sense to begin with, but you make your choice. But I would be taking more notes on Kevin's talk than anybody else. I love listening to KB. As an assistant division manager, he's somebody that's looked up to from our division, has led the way and been, in my mind, the main force and the main driving leader behind us being, national champions multiple years in a row, not just on overall sales, but in new rep development sales. And Kevin's been one of the best developers of people over so many years. His FSM team in the Colorado Springs office is huge and powerful, and the amount of leaders that he develops into future positions in Cutco is remarkable. But Kevin's somebody who dedicates his time and his his energy into improving himself personally and professionally, and he's going to give you some ideas on how to think about the next week to go after a massive SC2. So let's give it up for your ADVM, Mr. Kevin Barthe.
All righty. So I know it's 1 o'clock here, and I got 5 things for you to prepare for this week and to really maximize and to kind of just review some of the things that we've talked about today. So your opportunity lies ahead. And if you don't create the future you want, you got to endure the future you get. And so this is the step in the right direction to get you that future that you want for yourself. During push week and during the next 2 weeks, you don't lose. You either win or you get better. And that's the philosophy. There is no losing. You either win or you get better. You dominate. And if it's not something that you're looking for, it's a lesson that you gain in the meantime. You push yourself to see what you can create in your life. And, for some of you, this might be your first opportunity to really see what you can do over a 2-week period. And Cutco taught me, and Vector taught me, that I can really commit to something for a long amount of time. And that lesson has taught me so much through the rest of my life. There's this law, it's called the law of the lid. And they do this study on fleas, and they put these fleas into a jar, and the fleas jump out of the jar. They jump out of the jar, they jump out of the jar. They don't know what the lid is. And then what happens is that they put these fleas into a jar again, and they screw on a lid. And eventually the fleas, they jump, they hit the lid, 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 and they remove the lid, and they jump, and they can never escape. They can never escape, they can never get out, they can never know what else is out there. And I want to tell you today that it's time to remove the lid. It's time to stop limiting ourselves from what we think we can create. We just heard from so many people about how much they made over a 2-week period, and this is your opportunity, and it lies ahead of you. It's time to remove the lid. It's time to remove the limitations. It's time to remove the regrets, and it's time to just train ourselves to realize that anything is possible for us moving forward. Your capacity in your life is Your capacity for yourself is your capacity in your life, and it's time to create the life that you want. So I got 5 things to prepare for you this week on what you need to get done. The first thing, schedule a PC with your manager. Schedule a PC, a personal coaching with your manager to plan your schedule, be detailed, be focused, have a good game plan. You heard about the importance of it today. Get that done. Second one, add as many names and numbers to your list. We have days before the call days. We have 5 days where if you add 10 numbers to your list a day, you got 50 more fresh ones, 20 names and numbers to your list. You got 100 fresh ones by this weekend. And start that today. Start that now. Send messages, make phone calls, do the work, and put in the work now. The push is created this week going into it. Organize your top 50 to 100 attack list, like Maz was talking about. And this way you can go into it prepared and ready to go. You know, we heard a lot of messages today on, adding the cream first and taking away steps that you need to take away in order for you to get to where you want to be quicker. I do this in my life in so many areas of my life. I put my workout clothes the night before I go to work out in the morning. Woke up at 4:30 this morning, meditated, got my breakfast, went on a bike, and took care of what I needed to take care of. But everything was set up the night before to make sure that I have the morning that I need to execute properly in my life. And you can do that too. When you change your habits in your life, you change your life. When you change your habits, you change everything. So start now, start today. Add those numbers to your list. Number 3, do demos this week. Hit the newsletter, sell $1,000 plus worth of Cutco this week. Build your confidence. Get referrals, show your best people this week. Don't hold back, no regrets, no limitations. Now's the time to do your best 10 demos this week to get 50 of the best people that you can possibly call this weekend to rip it next week. Build your confidence, build your leads, and go into it with momentum. Know that you can do it before it even starts. Number 4, make push week goals and put them everywhere. Tell everybody. Have an accountability buddy. Put sticky notes on your mirrors, write on your mirrors, put it up on a whiteboard, make a poster board, make it visible to yourself, put it on your background, put it on your planner, whatever you got to do, remind yourself constantly. What we think about constantly is what we create in reality. So you got to think about it constantly. Put it on the forefront of your mind. The next 2 weeks can change so much for you in your trajectory of your life. Make your goals visible. The more people you tell, the better. Tell your parents, tell your friends, tell your accountability buddies, tell your managers, and go out there and rip it. Number 5 is phone. The work is done on the phone. You heard that today from Annalis. You heard that from Alex. The work is done on the phone. It's all about your actions. So action. This weekend, as we do the call days, action. Don't let your emotions drive your results. Let your actions drive your emotions, which drive your results. Let your actions drive your emotions. If you don't feel like it, that's more reason to do it and get what you need to get done. All right? The worst thing they can say is no. I'd much rather get a $2,000 paycheck over the next couple weeks than a no. Don't play scared. Get in there. Go do it. Change your habits. Change your life. Increase your capacity, and the world around you changes. You can do it. Now you got to go do it. And good luck throughout the course of Push. Thank you, guys.
Let's give it up for Mr. Kevin Barthe. Thank you, KB. Gosh, that was short, sweet, impactful. All I want to do is go phone and go drive my push. Thank you, everybody, for being on today. Thank you for your time, your dedication to your business and to our division and your office. Good luck. Have fun. Let's everybody hit the newsletter this week. We have the division meeting on Thursday night, 5 to 7 p.m. Mountain Time, 5 to 7 Mountain Time on Thursday night to prepare for the biggest weekend. Make sure this weekend is filled with demos, building momentum, filled with building up your names list and phone calls to set up your push. Push starts Monday on the 20th. See everybody Thursday. Thank you again to all of our speakers. See you. I'll put it so you can unmute yourselves now if you want.
See everybody. Great meeting as always, Drew.
See you guys. Thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone.
Amazing.
Thank you. Bye.
Drew. I'll see you, Drew.
See you guys. Tyson, later, man.